Hey guys, how's it going? Today we've got some beautiful things to plant out in the garden. Some Midnight Masquerade Penstemon and a Miss Molly Buddleia. They're in bloom and so pretty. I would also like to do some trimming on one of our weeping willow trees, the one that is over our Hebe statue. It's pretty much, the branches are to the ground and we need to at least carve out enough branches so that we can see the statue again. But I wanted to start right here because I planted some things out here last night and I wanted to make sure you saw them before they start filling up this area. I didn't film it because it was really late and it was kind of a spur of the moment idea, and it started to rain while I was doing it, so I was just trying to get it done quickly. So in this area right here, I recently planted 3 Invincible Sublime hydrangeas, and I did bring you along for that project, so maybe we can show you what this little space looked like right after we got done. In fact, they didn't even have leaves when I planted them. And then I've pushed some sticks in the ground. I don't know if you can see, there's one here, there's one right here, and then there's 2 more. And that's where I would like to put more Invincible Sublimes once I can find them. So I'm just gonna save some spots for them. But underneath those hydrangeas, I went in with close to 90 Creeping Veronica. I think it's gonna look so gorgeous. In fact, we did plant some Creeping Veronica earlier this spring and I brought you along for that project. It's over on the other side of the south garden, but a couple of things that I love about this plant. It's a ground cover, it's evergreen, it looks brilliant emerald green. Even in the middle of winter with snow around it, it's just an amazing ground cover. And it blooms, like you can see it's in bloom now. It's just got these, oh, Aaron just took off with the lawnmower. He was really nice. He sat over there for a long time with the lawnmower off so I could chat with you guys without the noise. Anyway, you can see the little dainty white blooms and it's all budded up. So it's got more flowers coming and they bloom even thicker once they're more established, and they'll only grow about 1 inch tall. Like what you're seeing here is about the height they're gonna be, but they spread out about 18 inches. So I've got them spaced to where in the end, I want this to be a carpet of Veronica, Creeping Veronica, that looks like it's just kind of holding up these hydrangeas that are interspersed. So I will probably continue on with the Veronica. In fact, I'll maybe even divide some of these later on to fill in back here because I want it to go all the way under these birch trees and all the way under the rest of the hydrangeas that I put in this area. A couple of other great things about them, they are hardy to zone 4, so it's negative 40 degrees. Deer resistant, that's what the tag says, and what I've heard about them, we don't have deer pressure in our area, so I can't speak from experience on that. They can take a fairly moist area, so that's nice if you've got an area that stays a little bit more wet, these can handle it, but we give ours regular moisture over on the other side and they thrive and do great. They can take light foot traffic, probably not super heavy, but it would even be something that we could put between stones, I think. And they suppress weeds, which is one of the big reasons why I want to go crazy with ground covers out here. You know, once I get areas established with perennials and shrubs and things, really easy to go in and see where there's some open areas of ground and get those planted up with some ground covers because they do help with the weeds. They help keep moisture levels higher underneath them, keep the ground cooler. And I just think they visually cool an area down when you see a nice lush carpet of green rather than, you know, brown mulch or something. I just think it's a good look. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure you guys saw this step out here because it's a pretty large change in this area. I mean, there's not a lot of other plants going on right immediately around it. I mean, we're working on it. Things are filling in, but you know, it's a process. So the filling in part is what we're gonna work on next. Midnight Masquerade Penstemon. I have this planted in several different areas of our garden and I just keep wanting to add more of it because it's such an easy perennial and it's beautiful. I mean, you can see how dark the leaf color is. They're like so dark purple, they're almost black. And then they send up these bloom stalks that are sort of a burgundy color with this beautiful lavender flower. And then after they're done, the bloom stalks are actually beautiful. The flowers leave behind this a very glossy burgundy red kind of seed pod that stay on the stalk. And I love to use them in cut flower arrangements as a textural element. And I leave them up throughout the winter too. We usually don't cut them back till spring. And they grow quite tall, like I want to say between 3 and 3.5 feet tall and just under 3 feet wide. There are zones 3 through 8 and the pollinators love them. You know, I've got some planted sort of nearby. I think I'll run over there so you guys can see what the leaf canopy looks like and what they look like after they've broken dormancy because they don't look like those. They're definitely not in bloom. And I think that mature height, that 36 inches, is taking into account the height of the bloom stalks. So the leaf canopy does not get 3 feet tall. It stays shorter while the bloom stalks kind of rise above it. Here they are. So you can see they just come out of the ground in these little clumps And I want to say that these are 2 seasons old now, but they've just got like a little bit more green in the center, a little bit more red on the tips right there. I just think they're such pretty plants, and definitely one to site a ways from the front of the border so that you can come in with something a little bit shorter. That's just my preference anyway. We also have some beautiful Menton tulips and the leucogems, the summer snowflakes right there. But I've got 9 of them here in this area, and they definitely make an impact when they're all in bloom. Oh my goodness. Oh, and let's just take a moment and look at this Sergeant Crabapple. Oh my goodness. I'm seeing honeybees all over it. How fun. So that's that one right there. One more thing about the Penstemon is that once it's established, it can handle drier soil. So that's a nice benefit. And then we have the Miss Molly Buddleia. Look at the blooms on this plant. They are so beautiful. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. Samantha, do you like the color? Which one do you like, the pink or the purple flower better? That one right there? What do you think about this one? You like it too? Yeah. So this one, the Miss Molly, which I don't think I actually have in our property. I think we've got Miss Violet, we've got Miss Ruby, but no Miss Mollies. This one grows about 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. I think it's a zone 5 through 8 or 9. Let's look.
Up here.
Zone 5 through 9. Does like full sun. And boy, they're just prolific bloomers. I mean, the other ones I have are, so I'm expecting this is gonna probably be just about the same, and I know exactly where this one's gonna go. So we're gonna head over to the far side of the loop in the south garden. You gonna load up with me? Let's go take this butterfly bush over. Oh, hold on. We gotta stop and take a look at this creeping Veronica real quick. This is a better example of creeping Veronica that's a little bit more established in full bloom. Look at that. Oh, look how pretty, Samantha. Do you love it?
Should I turn all orcs into stone?
Yes, please go turn all the orcs to stone. Thank you. He's on the mission. Right there. Oh, isn't that beautiful right there? And this is the only time we're going to be able to enjoy this lilac butterfly bush combination because they normally aren't in bloom at the same time. That is an angel white lilac. And this is year, I think 3 for it in here. And it's gorgeous and it's so fragrant. It's just smelling up this whole area. We've got a Deruder spruce right here, which is pushing a whole bunch of new growth candles right there. I love it. And a Tickle Creek white bark birch, which I think that one grows like 6 by 4. So we're getting pretty close to full maturity on that one. There is a Cheyenne Sky panicum right here. So that'll just be like a nice 3-foot kind of grass accent. And then this can kind of peek up from behind the grass. Oh, I love it. Okay, we're gonna get this in the ground, then we'll take a look. We've got a different spot for the Penstemon. Well, that's one way to get the drip out of your way. Just cut it with your shovel. So I gotta go get a coupler, dang it. So pretty right there. I'm really happy with that. And one other thing about the butterfly bush that's good to know is that they do like to be planted high. So if you look in here, you can see the stem. Hopefully you can see the stem coming out right here. And then the root ball kind of slopes down and I did not mound up any soil over the top of it. In fact, the root ball itself is sitting just a little bit higher than the natural soil line out here, and that's because they need excellent drainage. They do not want to be sitting in water at any point in time for any length of time. They want to get water to their roots, and then they want it to drain away really quickly, especially in the winter time. If you've got it planted in a space where it's down a little too low and water's pooling around the base of the plant, that's one of the biggest reasons why they do not survive over the course of a winter. Butterfly bush for us, I find that I have to cut mine back quite a distance every single year, but they flush back and get to their full size every year as well. And gosh, seeing that pink up against the white, I wish they would be in bloom at the same time every year. But we do have a hedge of Limelight Prime hydrangeas right here, very close to this one, so we'll still get that kind of white pink effect later on in the season. And while we're in this area, I thought I'd give you a progress report on a few of the things that we've recently transplanted. And this one right here isn't really that recent. This one was last, summer? It was behind the chicken coop, right before we had the brick outlining kind of area done. So we transplanted it and it totally flopped and looked horrible. I thought it was dead. But lo and behold, this spring, it just pushed a whole bunch of new growth and now it's blooming, so that makes me happy. This right here is that little coralberry shoot that we cut off of a main plant and planted right over here. And there's drip that goes around it and it has pushed a bunch of leaves. Free shrub right there. And then these don't look as awesome, but they're all still alive. This is the ornamental oregano. You can see I just watered a bit while I had the hose out. Some of the clumps, well, they looked better when we transplanted them from the gate anyway, and some of them were just a lot smaller, but they've all got leaves on them. Like even this little clump, it has some leaves in there coming back. And then right here, we transplanted the big piece of miscanthus from the front of the house, and then all of that hardy geranium from back toward the pond area. And all of these, I know Paul has run drip to, and they're all looking really good. I watered a couple. There's like maybe 2 that may not make it through. Pretty good when we got like 30 some plants from one clump. Okay, let's go get the penstemon in the ground. I love where these penstemon ended up. Don't they look beautiful in here? Pardon the construction noises, you guys. There's a house being built right across the fence. So I'm guessing a good portion of the summer is going to be hammers and saws and all of that business. But in this space, along with the penstemon, we have, I think this is called a Tiny Tim or Tidy Tim spruce. And it doesn't get all that big. And then we've got Veronica, and I cannot remember if it's pink or purple, but it doesn't even matter. Pink or purple would look really good with these penstemon. And there are some Russian sage in here, but they're coming back looking kind of weak. So even if they rebound, I left enough space to where it can kind of fill in the gap. And there's one right there. Is there anything even alive on this one? Oh yeah, a little bit. They're just maybe a little slower than the rest. But there's also a heptacodium, some totem pole panicums, quickfire hydrangeas, and we've got a whole lot of open space to work with this year, every year. It feels like no matter how many plants I put out here, there's still big areas to put more things. The iris, though, that we transplanted last year look awesome. Look at all of these. Do you remember when we came out here and did this? I mean, I'm seeing a number of them that didn't take, like right here. There's one that didn't, it's kind of rooted in though. There's a few. But that's pretty thick. I'm so excited about that. Also, all of our plants leafed out, and then we had a freeze. And there's no way I could cover everything in this garden, so our roses mostly, and some hostas, suffered a little bit of damage from that. They'll be all right. That's always kind of hard to see that. And we have one more night that's pretty close to freezing. Oh, it is freezing. So Monday morning, it's supposed to be 32 degrees. Everything else looks like mid to high 40s, so that's good. Okay, so we're gonna head to the willow tree. That's our last project for the day. So this is the willow we need to tackle. We need to lift this canopy in the front, at least in the area right in front of Hebe, because you can kind of see her peeking through there, but I need to just sort of like shave this up a bit, and then probably, I don't know if I really want to shave a whole lot of this. I mean, up off the ground at least enough to maybe like have some plants in here, even lower ones, but I just love this tree. I love the structure of it. I have a small ladder and my hand pruners. But I might need to run and grab the pole pruners as well, because I do see two little dead branches right up there, and I know there's one small dead one on the back side. The back doesn't need too much attention though, I don't think. Let's take a look. I'll probably take off a couple of these branches that are coming out a little bit further, but I like to have it come all the way to the ground back here because it provides a really good backdrop. Like it's a really good part of the block from the house to our neighbor's house. And you know, we're working on doing a border right out here, but it'll be a while before it's, you know, full. So other than like cleaning out the dead branch that's right there, it's just a small one, and shaving up a couple right here, I really leave this alone for the most part. So there's nothing too technical about this project. I'm just going to trim the branches wherever I want the height to be. And it's something that I usually have to do a couple of times a season. Probably should do it more. Probably should do it before it gets to looking like this, but there are some pretty things under it. Like the Brunnera, there's an Oregon grape in here that looks great. There are iris that hardly get any sun, and they're full of buds over there. We just had some white tulips bloom in here. And then really haven't developed this area really at all. There's no plants here. If we go this way, you can see we had a blue spruce. I've tried 2 or 3 times. It dies every single time, so I'm gonna quit trying. I also am going to clean up this smoke bush. Maybe not today. I actually need to come through here and do a clean out. I haven't cleaned out anything in this flower bed other than the honeysuckle, which progress report, it's looking awesome. Remember when we came in here and just hacked this vine back because it was massive and it was getting very woody and kind of ugly looking right here, and all the pretty stuff was up top. So all of the green that you see is brand new fresh green growth. And now we can see, we needed to wait to this point to see which branches were viable, which it looks like these 2 right here at least are not viable, maybe this little one here, but I would need to follow these other ones up to see if they have growth on them at any point. It looks like, yeah, it looks like a lot of the growth is coming from the branches on this side. But this will fill up in no time. But I've got a buddleia back in here that I haven't cut back. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier. So see the buddleia growth down there? We usually have to cut off most of the top canopy and let it flush back fresh. Oh, hello Douglas. Hello. And then we've got a rugosa rose right here that's kind of going crazy, and some privet that I need to cut out completely. We were walking around the other night and I glanced over here and thought, oh, have I even cleaned that out? Have I been in this flower bed since I did the honeysuckle? No, I have not. So anyway, that's why the willow is looking like it is. Let's get this done. Got it done. It looks so much lighter over here. I decided to take this up just a little bit more on this side, but if you get closer, you can kind of see that I don't take it like a bowl cut, which our willows have looked like that a time or two in the past. I kind of like them to be staggered. You know, even if you're going to lift up the canopy, on one side of the tree, this tree's kind of a mullet in a way, because it's way shorter on this side and then I let it be way longer on the outside, but it just works for this side of the garden so well. But I come in and I kind of cut one high and cut one a little bit lower and just try to stagger it. I mean, people might not be lining up to get their hair cut by me, but I think it looks pretty good for this tree. And I was able to get quite a number of the little dead branches, but there were a couple that were too high for me to reach, even with the pole pruner. So I just abandoned those, and we'll do those a different time. You can't really see them anymore now anyway, especially when you can actually see the flower bed. I mean, you have a lot more to look at down here when the tree isn't the focal point of the flower bed. Now we can see Hebe. These plants are going to receive a lot more light that are underneath there. And our plan is to come and take, I don't know, maybe about, there's Russell, about this much of the sod out, because the grass always struggles right here. And I think that's just because we have a willow here and it wants all the grass's water. So I think I want to focus on some drought tolerant stuff for this bed. You know, we've got sedum and salvia, which does really well in a drier situation. And just things like that that can handle the afternoon sun. You can see we're kind of late afternoon right now, so it gets that hot afternoon sun, and especially when the canopy's lifted, it's really going to get nailed here, but very protected for the first part of the day. But I think it'll be nice to not struggle with the grass and not have dead patches. It looks fine now, but not in the summer. When it gets very hot, there's dead patches in here that look horrid. So we're going to try to fix that problem by just eliminating sod right there. But if we get closer, you can see I'm leaving the tulip foliage until it kind of dies back a bit. Cleaned up the snowball bush just a little bit. I think I'm going to take those really tall branches out too. I didn't really notice those until I was kind of done. And they can wait. Those have blooms on them anyway, but I don't know if you can see the 1, 2, 3 branches in there that are way taller than the rest of the shrub. Now we'll be able to see those iris when they start to bloom, and they're purple. They're so pretty. We've got Russian sage, a Royal Jubilee David Austin right here. The smoke bush took after that and kind of pruned it up a bit and just cleaned up some dead or scraggly looking branches. These are the Morden blush roses, and this right here, I mean, you can definitely tell I haven't pruned anything. Those are the hips from last year. So really need to come in here and clean these out. But they're all budded up. They're never this big because I always trim them back. Oh my goodness. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with no maintenance this spring. There was a little 9-bark right here that's always struggled, and it was more than half dead. So I just grabbed it and yanked it out. I don't think I had the camera pointed at it, but it just popped right out. Wasn't really enough space for it anyway, but I think we can come in with something fun right in here. And then I did cut the privet back. I was actually able to yank a lot of it out and cut the roots off. Some of you who have been watching our videos for a while might remember the privets that were here. I mean, right here, there was a giant section. So it was all privet hedging, like we've got the boxwoods right here, but a lot of it was dead. They were gonna start, previous owners were gonna start pulling it out and start replacing them with boxwoods. And we bought it before they started doing that. Dang it. So we had to do all that project, but it was fun to be able to show it. But anyway, right here, they let one section of the privet get massive, and the rest of it was trimmed it down. And it was trimmed, like it was trimmed into a rectangle. It kind of looked cool. But every once in a while, I see the privets pop up in this area, like they do not want to let go. But the buddleia looks good, not having all the dead branches coming off the top of it. So just a little spruce up. I could spend a ton more time in this area, but we'll leave that for another day. Oh, they're getting along. Look at them. Peace. We've got a lot of work to do yet in this area anyway, so maybe we'll just wait until then. Everything's looking pretty good at the moment. I'll walk around the back here too. We are going to have some kind of just footpath through this area that connects over here. Did a little cleanup on this side of the snowball bush, and then trimmed those branches that were coming out, which were basically right on this side of the tree. And look at my gator. It is so loaded up with stuff. And then pruned out some stuff, some dead branches in here, got those handled. And we are about ready to see an amazing show. There's hawthorn right here. Well, it's already starting. Hawthorn, but all of these irises right below bloom beautiful purple, and they usually overlap our lilac right there. So all 3 of these things may be going at the same time. I planted this hawthorn, oh boy, it must have been like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, because we moved in 16, so we've been here 8 years, so it might have been 6 or 7 years ago, I don't know. And I can't even remember what variety. I could look it up and figure it out, but it only grows like 15 to 20 feet tall and like 15 feet wide or 12 feet wide, something like that. So it's not enormous, but it's absolutely beautiful. And it was a little bit like, I didn't know if it was actually going to make it. I love how it's just this large shrub in this area. It's just turned out perfect, perfect, perfect. I love it. And then it produces these shiny, bright red hawthorn berries for the winter time. Of course, those iris over there, can you see them? They like glow in the front of the flower bed. those bloom purple too. They smell like grapes. Anyway, that is it for today's projects. We could just keep going on and cleaning up flower beds, moving stuff around. I still have things I want to transplant, but I have watering to do. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the afternoon, emptying out my gator. Oh my gosh. Watering and dinner. Gotta go see what everybody's feeling like eating tonight. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.